Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's Symax Fintech Market Insights. As usual, all split into four parts. First one, we look back at last week, which is definitely worth looking at with all the activity that there's been. So, you should really go through this one. What's due out this week? And of course, we've got to obviously be mindful of what's going on with Israel now, because that is going to potentially have more impact on the markets than any data. So, be prepared for that. And then, so that covers part one, part two. That's also part of part three, where I'll go through the macro outlook. And then, of course, we head on to part four, which is all of the technical analysis. Now, technical analysis is made up of 1 day charts and 30-minute charts. So, the 30-minute charts help you for, say, Monday, Tuesday, but just short term. But those day charts, some of those levels, depending on the volatility, obviously, this week when the market's open because of Israel going into Gaza, they can hold in for days or even the whole week. It just really depends on the volatility. And those levels hopefully are going to be useful for you. As usual, we start with our disclaimer. So trading involves the potential risk of loss of capital. It's not suitable for everyone, although hopefully it is for you. When it comes to leverage, just be careful, because you can lose substantially more than that initial investment. Everything we include in here is just purely for educational purposes. We're not trying to provide you with advice. We're just trying to help you prepare, understand the markets better, to help you make better decisions. But of course, if you are looking to invest or trade, that has to be your decision. And before you make that, you should consider your financial situation, your level of experience, and your risk appetite. And of course, on your risk capital, you're prepared, but more importantly, can afford to lose. If you've got any doubts whatsoever, seek independent financial advice before risking your capital. Okay, so if we look back at last week, although investors had one eye on the data, the other one was definitely fixed on Israel and the preparation to send the ground force into Gaza. I mean, if you look sort of late Friday afternoon, gold just really took off, and it almost touched $2,020. And then, of course, by Saturday, Israel had began their second phase by sending its ground forces into the Gaza, and that was supported by air and also from the sea as well. And you've got to realise this is not going to be over quickly. This is going to be a long-term assault. And of course, that risk of escalation in that Middle East region is going to remain there for some time as well. And that is the danger, that things escalate there and other countries, other militant groups do get involved as well. But of course, the US has made it very clear that it will give full support to Israel, and have even attacked a couple of sites inside another country where rockets were being fired from. So then if we move on to look at the data, we saw PCE came in, it hit a 4-month high. And we've got to expect this, and again, just keep an eye on commodity prices, oil prices this week, because that again, there is the potential for another rise in inflation coming. But if we look at the pure data that came out, so PMIs, if you look at the US PMIs, I mean, again, back into expansion, all three of them now above 50. So we've got the composite 51, manufacturing 50, which is a great result for the US, and services at 50.9. And of course, they were better than expected, and as was durable goods, which came in at 4.7, as was GDP, that came in a massive 4.9%. The forecasts earlier this year were sort of probably for about half of that. And then of course that PCE that came in. So, on the month 0.3%, 3.7% year on year. But it's the fact that, it started to creep up again. That's the fourth month that it's increased, So that's sort of something to sort of remain focused on. And obviously when we're looking at that, the fact that some of these commodities could have another spike up is going to impact inflation. And of course it was already getting sticky, but so that's another challenge for the central banks. And of course Michigan consumer sentiment came in higher than expected as well at 63.8. Consumer spending was also higher than expected at 0.7%. So the US economy is still strong. I keep saying this week after week, month after month. They are, they're just head and shoulders above sort of pretty much everywhere around the world, maybe with the exception of India. And then when we look at the EU, so not really any major surprises there. Consumer confidence was negative 17.9. For the PMI composites, they are still quite well below 50. Right across the PMI. So composite 46.5, manufacturing 43. They're stabilizing, but they're not really sort of moving higher at the moment. And services 47.8. And of course we had the ECB meeting where they left rates unchanged at 4%. And of course, as usual, it's all going to be data driven to what goes on next for them. But that's the first time that they haven't hiked rates. So I think it's about 10 meetings now. Moving on to Germany, IFO business. That came out higher than expected at 86.9. And then the current is 89.2. And the expectations 84.7. They was all higher than expected. And then we look at consumer confidence at negative 28.1. That was lower than expected. And then the other PMIs came in lower than expected as well. Composites at 45.8. Then the manufacturing was actually higher than expected at 40.7. Services again lower than expected at 48. So a little bit of a mixed bag there. Things seem to be hopefully stabilizing a little bit in Germany, but when they used to be the powerhouse of Europe, that's just not the case at the moment. Moving on to the UK, employment data. So claims was up a bit higher than expected at 20.4 thousand. The unemployment rate actually dropped over from 4.3 to 4.2. PMI composite came in at 48.6. Manufacturing 45.2. Services 49.2. Now the services did drop down a little bit, so that's a little bit of a surprise. But again, they're not bad. The manufacturing is a bit low, but overall not too far away from the 50. Moving on to then Japan. Australia. So Australia, so the PMI composite there came in at 47.3, and then manufacturing came in at 48, and services at 47.6. And then CPI came in at 1.2% quarter on quarter, which they prefer to do in Australia, and 5.4% year on year. So moving on to Japan, manufacturing PMIs came in at 48.5, and then services came in higher at 51.1. CPI was 3.3 year on year. The core 3.8, and just remember in Japan at the moment they are subsidizing some of the sort of energy costs, petrol costs and such like. And then Canada, they just left rates unchanged at 5%. So that's it for last week. I mean, it was a very interesting week. We've certainly got a very interesting week coming up for sure. And you know, just make sure you watch the second part of these, because I'm going to go through some of this, not just what's out, because obviously we've got a lot out next week as well. So let's move on to part 2. So just moving on to highlight what we do as a company. Obviously, the majority of you are probably familiar with that, but there's always some new people viewing these. So it's just to give you a little bit of an insight into Symax Fintech as a company. So apart from the YouTube, we provide daily newsletters, which include sort of global headlines, global news, and then as an option, there's fresh chart levels and pivot points each day. Then when it comes to sort of workshops, you know, if people are looking to get into trading, then our sort of introduction to trading is a great one. Trading for beginners. And then for others that are already trading but have got gaps in their knowledge or their trading skills, then we can help you with those as well. We do offer 1-week courses. They can make you feel competent and confident in just 1 week. Does it make you a trader? No, but does it give you the foundations on which to build your trading career? For sure. And you know, if you've got that inner trader, I will find it. And of course, now you have the option of going for one of our new course, which actually includes a free trading challenge attempt as well. And then if you're really serious about making trading your career, then our comprehensive accredited masterclass is the one for you. It's designed to provide you with all the knowledge and trading tools required to navigate any market conditions, and also any asset class. And the next one of those starts on the 19th of June. So you've got a week to register if you're interested. Then trader mentoring, you know, some people don't want to go through courses, but they do need help still, and I can certainly do that. Consulting, we consult to companies around hedging, FX and commodity exposure. And then of course we provide you know, a mass of educational content that can be to individuals, exchanges, to brokers. And as I just mentioned, if you're looking for that funded account, you know, maybe you're a bit sort of undercapitalized, or possibly you just don't want to use your capital, then there's the opportunity to go through the challenge and hopefully qualify for a funded account through one of our partners, Nordic Funder. If you'd like to contact us, it's info@symaxfintech.com. Any questions you'd like to aim directly at me, it's chris.tubby at Symax Fintech. Sorry, go back to that one, christubby at symax-int.com. Just get so used to the fintech part. And of course, look forward to seeing you in the second part.